Members of the January 6th committee say they are ready to push back hard on witnesses who defy subpoenas. Last Thursday marked the deadline for 4 former Trump officials to produce materials. Here's what we know. Mark Meadows and Kash Patel are so far engaging with the committee, but an attorney for Steve Bannon said he will not cooperate, citing former President Trump's claim of executive privilege. It's a strange claim because Bannon left the federal government long before January 6th. One Democrat on the committee, Jamie Raskin, suggested Bannon could be jailed, saying, quote, he's completely exposed. Joining me now is a member of the January 6th committee, Congressman Adam Schiff. He's chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and author of the new book, Midnight in Washington, How We Almost Lost Our Democracy and Still Could. Chairman, thank you so much for being with us. I want to ask you a couple questions on the Select Committee before we get to the book. We just mentioned the committee has said they are engaging with Mark Meadows and Kash Patel. What does that mean exactly?
Well, I can't go into the communications, but we have engaged with lawyers that are representing them to try to secure their testimony, but also to make it very clear that those who don't cooperate with our committee are going to be the subject of criminal contempt. We will vote on it in the House at the appropriate time, and we will refer to the Justice Department for prosecution. So we're not fooling around. We expect people to fulfill their lawful duties. If there are legitimate questions that are raised, we will answer them, respond to them, but we want to make sure that we provide all this information to the American people. And these 4 witnesses in particular are really in a position to know exactly what the president was doing, what the response was like, why we weren't better prepared, and the role of the administration in this attack on the U.S. Capitol.
So engaging with Meadows and Patel, no more information on that. Steve Bannon, his team has already said he's not cooperating. He's not coming. So have you already started drafting the criminal referral?
I can't comment on that, but let me tell you, I think exactly what's going on with Steve Bannon. And this is one of the things I write about in the book. During the Russia investigation, which was led at the time by Chairman Devin Nunes, a Republican, we subpoenaed Bannon. And he came in with 25 questions that were written out for him by the White House and said, these are the only questions I'm going to ask. I'm going to allow you to ask, and I've already written out the answers, and the answer to each is no. And the Republicans allowed that. And Bannon knew he could get away with that, both because the Republicans would allow that kind of obfuscation, but they knew that the Attorney General, Bill Barr, or before him, Jeff Sessions, neither of them would enforce the law. They would both support and protect and cover up for Donald Trump. That's not the situation anymore. We have a new Attorney General, a new Justice Department dedicated to the principle that no one is above the law. So Bannon is in a completely different situation. Now I agree with Jamie Raskin. He's exposed.
Look, it will take a referral to the Justice Department, but how can you reassure the American people you're not taking a butter knife to a gunfight here? I mean, you could do the referral, but this could all take over a year. There could be a new Congress. This could all just go away.
Well, look, we hope and expect that the Justice Department will act with expedition. But these are the tools that we have to enforce the law, tools that we didn't have in the last 4 years. So we're going to use them. We're going to use whatever tools that we have. And at the end of the day, it'll be a test of our justice system and our democracy and whether we're living up to that principle that no one's above the law.
Days, weeks, months in terms of when the criminal referral would come?
Well, it will come very fast. If people refuse to cooperate and have no basis for the refusal, it will come very fast. I think that's all I can say.
You write about the insurrection a lot in your book and all of this in the book. And there's an episode that I had not heard, which is that day when it was all happening. There was outreach from your Republican colleagues. So some of your Republican colleagues who were telling you, you can't let them see you, a Republican member said to me. He's right, another Republican member said. I know these people, I can talk to them. You're in a whole different category. They were telling you were in particular risk for your life. Now, there have been threats against you for some time, but it's different when there are people pouring through the building, banging on the doors there. What did that moment feel like for you?
Well, it was, I think, a harrowing moment for all of us. There were people breaking down the door. It wouldn't be long after this that Ashley Babbitt would be shot climbing through the glass to try to break in. And I kind of hung back. I think everyone was reacting differently, and there was a real scrum to try to get out the doors when the Capitol Police were telling us, you need to get out, you need to get out. And so I was waiting, and I have to say my first reaction when these Republicans came up to me to say, you can't let them see you, was to be touched, that they were concerned about my safety. But my next reaction was to think, you know, if you all hadn't been lying about the election, let alone lying about me for 4 years, I wouldn't need to be worried about my security. None of us would need to be worried about it. And in that sense, what angered me the most, I think, about that day were these insurrectionists in suits and ties who were still, even after the bloody insurrection, even after all the shattered glass and the death of that day, were back on the House floor trying to overturn the election.
You're saying insurrectionists in suit and ties. You're talking about the Republicans in Congress?
I am, because unlike those people climbing outside the building, they knew it was a lie. The true believers were out there, you know, attacking the building. But inside the chamber, my Republican colleagues know it's a big lie. When Steve Scalise appears on TV like he did on Sunday and can't answer the question whether the election was stolen, it's not because he doesn't know the answer. It's because, like all of the GOP leadership right now in the Congress, they are deathly afraid of crossing Donald Trump. And that is what has our democracy so fragile, that people are not living up to their oath of office.
Is Kevin McCarthy an insurrectionist in a suit and tie?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Kevin McCarthy, as I talk about in the book, this is someone who I had a private conversation with years ago, went to the press, completely misrepresented it, and I confronted him about it on the House floor. And he says to me, because I said, you know, Kevin, you know that I said the exact opposite of what you told the press. He says, yeah, I know, Adam, but you know how it goes. And that's how he operates. And this to me is among the most corrosive things of the Trump presidency, which is the relentless attack on the truth, the idea that everybody's, you know, they're all entitled to their own alternate facts.
What happens if Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker?
Disaster, because he will do anything that Donald Trump tells him. And we cannot have someone with absolutely no reverence for the truth, no willingness to uphold his oath in that position, in line to the presidency. Donald Trump doesn't need to be appointed Speaker if Kevin McCarthy is, because essentially Donald Trump will control whatever he does.
The title of your book is How We Almost Lost Our Democracy and Still Could. But hasn't a lot already been lost? I mean, isn't it on the way to being lost if everything goes as you fear it might and as it looks like it might?
I'm glad you asked that question, because one of the things I wanted to do in the book as well is show people the stories of courage of this period. Robert Caro, the historian, once said that power doesn't corrupt as much as it reveals. Exactly. And while it revealed the Kevin McCarthys and the Steve Scalises and others, it also revealed people of great courage. It revealed Liz Cheney of great courage. It revealed Adam Kinzinger to have great courage. It revealed Dan Coates and Mitt Romney and Marie Yovanovitch and Alexander Vindman and all kinds of people of conviction who rose to the occasion. And you know, looking at those stories ought to give us inspiration. All of us right now have a role to play in the saving of our democracy. We can't all be Marie Yovanovitch, this wonderful former ambassador to Ukraine who defied a president and came and testified and told the truth. We can't all be in her position, but we can all in our own way play a role in saving our democracy when it's at maximum risk.
Chairman Adam Schiff, Midnight in Washington, available now. Thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.